If you've ever stared at your own reflection and felt the glass tilt, like the room behind you was suddenly deeper than physics allows, then you already know the first symptom. It isn't hearing voices. It's the moment the world forgets your name, and you're not sure whether you forgot to remind it, or it decided you were never worth remembering. Stop the video for a second. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt real to somebody without performing? Write the year in your head. If you can't, congratulations, you're already inside the story. There was a girl, let's call her Mara, who collected unanswered apologies the way children collect seashells. She lined them up on the windowsill of every apartment she ever rented, whispering, "I forgive you," to the empty shells just so something would whisper it back. Mara was not born fragile. She was born urgent, eyes wide, fists clenched, as if she already knew the womb was the last place she'd be allowed to need without apology. Her mother sang lullabies in a minor key, songs that sounded like warnings. Her father answered questions with geography, because the world is hard, kid, which is another way of saying, I don't know, and knowing would require me to feel something. By 5, Mara had learned the difference between a silence that meant be quiet and a silence that meant I have already left you. She could walk across a kitchen at midnight without making the floorboards creak. A skill she would later learn is called hypervigilance and is diagnosable, billable, medicatable. But back then it was just survival choreography, the way other kids learned to ride bikes. Quick retention spike. Think of the softest sound in your childhood house at night. Was it comforting or conspiratorial? Keep listening. I'll tell you why that detail decides whether you'll still be watching in 4 minutes. The first time Mara noticed reality wobble, she was 9, alone in the bath. The faucet dripped. Each drop hit the water like an echo, locating something hollow inside her chest. She watched the ripples intersect and felt the tiles breathe, slow, reptilian. She told no one. Not because she was afraid they wouldn't believe her, but because she was afraid they would, and then she'd have to carry the heaviness of being the girl who sees tiles breathe. So she filed the moment under probably normal, a folder that would grow fatter than every birthday card she never received. Adolescence arrived like a replacement actor who never read the script. Her body changed faster than her vocabulary, so when the 8th grade counselor asked, "Do you feel safe at home?" Mara heard, "Are you the problem or the symptom?" and answered, "Yes," because both felt true. She learned to smile with her lips closed, an expression that gives nothing away and still looks grateful. Inside that smile, she built what psychologists call a false self. But Mara never studied psychology. She studied people the way refugees study maps, desperately and accurately at night. Are you still riding the bike of your own attention? Or has the wheel started wobbling? Notice your shoulders. Lower them. The next sentence will enter whether you invite it or not. At 16, Mara discovered the narcotic of future tripping. She would lie on the roof, trace satellites, and promise herself that one day she would be so thoroughly loved the past would evaporate like alcohol on a wound. Meanwhile, the wound stayed open, busy photographing every disappointment. She did not know that trauma is a curator. It never sleeps. It catalogs. It waits for the exhibit to open. College smelled like instant coffee and emergency sirens at 3 a.m. She chose philosophy because it sounded like a safe place to ask why everything hurt without anyone calling the ambulance. In seminar rooms, she learned words like epistemology and solipsism and thought. Finally, language for the suspicion that I am the only real thing and also not real enough. She wrote papers that made professors tilt their heads, arguments so airtight they were almost suffocating. Outside the classroom, she dated people who never asked about her family because they were too busy auditioning her for the role of somebody who could save them instead. Each relationship ended the same way. She would stand in the shower until the hot water ran out, watching droplets race downward like timelines abandoning her. Here's a secret. The human mind doesn't fracture under pain. It fractures under meaninglessness. Pain with a plot can be endured. Pain without a plot becomes a parasite. Ask yourself, does your pain have a plot, or is it chewing the edges of the page you're writing on? After graduation, Mara moved to a city that tasted metallic. She got a job labeling other people's tragedies for an insurance company: fire, flood, suicide, act of God. Each category had a code and a maximum payout. At night, she filled notebooks with fragments that looked like poetry if you tilted them. I missed the version of God who still had a mother. Loneliness is what the universe feels when it forgets it's everything. If time heals, why does tomorrow feel already scarred? She taped these to the wall above her mattress until the landlord repainted, and she had to peel them off like old skin. The act of removal felt religious, like undressing in front of something that had already judged her. The first rail crack announced itself politely: insomnia. Not the cute kind where you binge series, but the feral kind where your heart races like it's being chased by tomorrow, and tomorrow has teeth. She tried everything: melatonin, masturbation, magnesium, mantra, until the pharmacist knew her by the shake in her voice. 4:12 a.m., she noticed the ceiling fan spelling words in its rotation. Remember, remember, remember. She laughed so hard the neighbor banged on the wall, which proved at least one person believed she existed. Retention jolt. When did you last pull an all-nighter for no external reason? Notice how the memory feels like wet cement. Heavy, but still shapeable. We're about to step into the cement. Months dissolved. She began losing time, not blackouts, but grayouts. Whole afternoons smudged. She'd find herself standing in supermarket aisles holding single apples like artifacts from a civilization that worshipped hunger. Her reflection started lagging, a half-second delay between blink and mirror blink. She Googled, "Can your soul buffer?" and found forums of strangers confessing the same lag, the same dread. No one mentioned solutions, only solidarity, which is both the softest and most brutal form of help. At 27, Mara attended a party she didn't remember entering. The apartment smelled of rosemary and burnt plastic. A man with kaleidoscope eyes offered her a gummy shaped like a Buddha. She ate 3. Time liquefied. She became convinced the hallway was a birth canal, and everyone at the party was being reborn every time they laughed. She locked herself in the bathroom, pressed her cheek against the cool porcelain, and listened to the pipes reciting her childhood in Morse code. When she finally opened the door, the party had evaporated. Only a woman with silver hair remained, washing the same wine glass over and over. The woman looked up and said, "You're early," which was scarier than "you're late," because it implied a schedule Mara never agreed to. Have you ever been the last person at a party that ended without telling you? Describe the silence out loud, one sentence. Notice how your own voice anchors you. Hold that anchor. The current is about to strengthen. The next morning she called in sick and instead went to a park where children chased pigeons like tiny chaos theorists. She sat on a bench intending to journal, but her hand moved without permission, scripting sentences in a handwriting she didn't recognize. Mother stitched my mouth so my scream could dress the wound she never showed anyone. Father's silence is a piano dropped from a height. The crash is over, but the echo keeps flattening cities. She stared at the pages until the letters seemed to crawl, ants carrying away the corpse of her official biography. A toddler waddled up, offered her a dandelion gone to seed. Mara blew, and for a moment the air was snowing wishes. She felt something loosen, like a rope bridge finally accepting that nobody is crossing back. That night she stood at her window counting sirens. After the 7th, she understood the city was crying for her because her own tears had rusted shut. She said out loud, "I need help," and the sentence felt like slipping on ice, sudden, undignified, irreversible. Therapy began like amateur archaeology. The first therapist practiced gentle Christianity and offered tissues printed with psalms. Mara left after session 3, convinced that even her grief deserved secular space. The second therapist wore tactical turtlenecks and spoke of neuroplasticity as if it were a party drug. He taught her diaphragmatic breathing, which felt like flossing a wound. She stayed 10 sessions, long enough to learn the language of symptoms: generalized anxiety, complex PTSD, depersonalization derealization disorder. The labels felt like name tags at a conference where no one wanted to network. Have you ever collected diagnoses like Pokemon cards? Which one felt most like a gift? Which one most like a curse? Keep the answer close. We're circling the part where labels dissolve. The third therapist was a woman named Simone who kept plants that refused to die. In the initial consult, Simone said, "I won't ask what's wrong, I'll ask who's speaking." The sentence entered Mara like a key sliding into a lock that had been painted over. Session after session, Mara brought her notebooks, the mirror lag, the tile breath, the dandelion snow. Simone listened the way astronomers listen to stars, without interrupting the past. Slowly, the story unpacked itself. How Mara learned to translate her bruises into excuses for other people. How she rehearsed personalities the way actors rehearse accents. How she kept a private landfill of every time she said, "I'm fine," when she meant, "I'm dissolving." But here is where the philosophical plot twist wriggles in. Simone introduced a question that had no floor. What if the part you call madness is actually the part that remembers what the rest of you was forced to forget? Mara felt the room tilt. Now the furniture seemed, Xuanya, Mandarin for cliff, and she was standing at the lip of her own mind, looking downward into a fog that whispered backstory. She realized that going crazy might be a form of internal whistleblowing. The psyche, exhausted by cover-ups, decides to leak classified grief. In that leak is both destruction and intelligence, like a tree splitting under storm, but also feeding the soil with finally accessible sap. Imagine your symptoms are undercover agents. What classified file would they slide across the cafe table if you promised not to shoot the messenger? Hold that file. We're about to read a page aloud. Mara began experimenting with surrender rather than management. She set timers to melt into her own dizziness instead of bracing against it. She wrote unsent letters to every version of herself that had been told to hush. She visited the warehouse of childhood memories not to reorganize, but to witness. Sometimes the witnessing felt like standing in a burning building holding a thermometer instead of a hose. But oddly, the temperature became data, and data became narrative, and narrative, at last, became meaning. She noticed that when she allowed the shaking instead of medicating it, the shaking eventually found a rhythm, almost ceremonial, like ancient bodies that knew grief is a dance before it is a diagnosis. Friendships rearranged. Some people panicked when she stopped pretending to be low maintenance. Others leaned in, recognizing their own reflection in her newly polished chaos. She coined a private proverb: "The cave you fear to enter is also the only dressing room where your real voice can warm up." She said it aloud one night to a friend who replied, "Then we'd better bring microphones." And they laughed until the echoes sounded like acceptance. Think of the friend who knew you before the mask. Have you told them the mask is now a curtain they can pull open? If not, what's the first sentence you'd speak from behind that curtain? Say it silently. Feel how it vibrates like a guitar string that's finally allowed to be out of tune. Years passed, but not in the way sand settles. More like the way glaciers move, imperceptibly, then all at once revealing a valley. Mara still had nights where the ceiling fan chanted, still met grocery store reflections that lagged, still felt the occasional urge to blow on dandelions and disappear with the seeds. But she had built an internal sanctuary whose architecture was honesty. Beams of yes that happened, walls of I don't know yet, windows called curiosity. She no longer feared the madness. She scheduled walks with it, the way you might walk a wolf that's agreed not to bite so long as you keep listening. One dawn, she climbed the fire escape of her building holding a cheap plastic mirror. She waited for the sun to crest the skyline, then angled the mirror so the light bounced into her eyes. Flash, shadow, flash. In that Morse code, she signaled the girl who once swallowed apologies. You are not late. You are becoming. And the girl, somewhere between synapse and scar, flashed back. Keep going. When was the last time you deliberately blinded yourself with brightness so you could see the afterburn shapes behind your eyelids? Those shapes are maps. We're arriving at the final landmark. Here is what Mara would tell you if you met her on the train and admitted you. 2. Feel the mirror lag. Sanity is not the absence of fragmentation. It's the refusal to exile the fragments. They are not debris. They are delegates from the country of your unprocessed past, carrying treaties only you can sign. Madness is not a fall from grace. It is a desperate ascent toward wholeness, using the rungs your family left broken. When your mind warps, it is often bending toward the shape of the truth you were forbidden to utter. Help the bend, don't arrest it. Find someone whose plants refuse to die. Read thinkers who confess they, too, have misplaced themselves. James Hillman on the Soul's Code. Esther Pearl on the state of affairs we keep with our own shadows. Gabor Mate on the myth of normal. Francis Weller on the wild edge of sorrow. But most of all, write the unsent letter, scream into the ocean, choreograph the earthquake in your knees. Do it until the line between symptom and signal dissolves. Do it until you can stand in the burned room and say, I was here before the fire. I am still here after. The embers are my alphabet now. Picture yourself 1 year from today, having dinner alone. The server asks, how are you? You decide to answer with the same radical honesty you just practiced on yourself. What exact words leave your mouth? Hold that sentence. It's the seed of the next video you'll need to watch, and the reason this channel exists. So if tonight your thoughts feel like sirens that won't reach the scene of the crime, remember Mara. Remember that the brutal past of a person who goes crazy is often the ledger of what the world refused to feel on their behalf. And the going crazy part? That might just be the universe's clumsiest, most democratic invitation. Come back to wholeness, even if the path looks like shattering. Accept the invitation. RSVP with trembling handwriting. Bring your fragments. We're building a cathedral from the cracks. In the comments, write the one symptom or obsession you secretly talk to. Give it a name, a job description, or a resignation letter. Let's crowdsource a glossary of what our shadows do when we finally clock them in. I'll pin the most startling confession and make next month's video a reply to it. Your break in the mirror might be someone else's first glimpse of light.